Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Nigel here. Hello. Right, so today we're going to look at getting the LOF clutch. I don't know if it's LOF or LOF. We're going to call him LOF. It's Luke anyway. So I'm going to get Luke's clutch, slave cylinder, the pipe work. I've got the fitting bolts over here into the gearbox, and then we're going to get the engine off the stand, get the clutch fitted to the engine, and get the engine into the chassis along with that beautiful exhaust we saw yesterday. So basically this is the old stuff. Now they changed, when they came out with the 2.2, they changed the clutch and apparently it's improved. These, please don't quote me on this, I'm just talking hearsay. These are prone to failure, these are much better. So if we compare, I mean with this one we've got an aluminium pipe here that's going into the aluminum if you're in America. It's going into there, okay, and then we've got the extension here that goes in to bring it out to the bell housing, and or is it that way and that way, I can't remember now, but yeah, it's that way, isn't it? That's going to go into there, and then that's going to go into there like so, and then the pipe will go into here. I believe it may be that way, whatever, I can't remember. So basically we're going to junk all that and we're going to replace it with this new stuff. Now we get these do come wrapped. I've unwrapped them to make the video less painful to watch. So basically we're going to get these replacement pieces for here. So it's looking like that's going to go into the bell housing, and then that's going to go on the back with the adapter for the actual hose, the brake hose to go in. I'm going to have to check out my photographs to see how it all goes. But we can see here that this is improved. Also take a note here, there are warnings about incorrect fitting, incorrect use. Don't go pumping it around, don't use grease or cleaner, do not use pressure or bleeding systems, just let it, whenever I do brakes and stuff, generally I let them just with gravity bleed myself. I don't even pump the pedal. Do not manually upright compress the unit because you'll damage it. And also use the manufacturer specified fluid only, which with this is going to be .4. It's going to be absolutely fine. So you can see the difference here. What we've got is an actual cast aluminium body, which is machined on the back rather than this monkey metal thing. So you can see the quality of the two there is much. This one's much superior. I should imagine these have been cracking or something, I don't know, but this looks much superior in design on the base. I would imagine the bearing part of it is the same, but as it says, you know, don't go turning it, pressing it or anything, because you may well damage it. It's probably, well, could well be dry inside. So that's the three parts you get. So if you get the LOF clutch kit like I've got, I can't remember which one I've got now. We'll come to it in a minute when I get to fit the clutch. But basically, if you buy the clutch kit, you get all this in a set along with the actual alignment tool as well, and the new spigot bearing. If you remember, I'm not using the spigot bearing because mine was absolutely fine. So that's the actual, the full Puma kit as I reviewed back a few weeks ago. So we're going to get this into the Land Rover now, work out how it all goes together. I'll probably use a little bit of brake fluid on the seals and stuff just to help it go together, and then we'll go from there. Just one thing to note, guys, before you put this in, these are special bolts. They're Torx T30 heads, but if you look at the end of them, you can see they're triangulated, they're squashed after they're made, and that gives them a sort of self-locking ability. So don't go swapping these out for something else, or if you are going to use something else, use some thread lock, because you don't want these coming loose. It'd be a nightmare to do. Okay, so we've got all our bits here ready to go on. Got the bolts in here, got a drop of brake fluid, I've got all the parts over here. So first thing I'm going to do is pull that plug out of there, put that there. They're handy to keep those plugs. So this goes in only one way, and it's going to slide over the input shaft like so. Okay, and then we've got these three bolts that are going to go in. One, two, and three. I say these are T30s, and the manual recommends 10 Newton meters, which is nothing. So basically just nip them up. So that's going to put in like that. If you remember when I did the gearbox, you can use this to actually press the seal in, which is handy. Okay, so that's now in and pulled down, which you know I like to do before I start using any tools. So there we go, they're all pulled down nicely like that. Okay, so we can put that to one side. Now the rest of this is like Lego, so I'm assuming that's going to go in through this hole. And yeah, that's what we're going to do. So we're going to push this one, going to take this cap off of here, which is a very good fit, and then I'm going to put a drop, just a drop of brake fluid around the end of there, just to help it go in. Now we've got an O-ring here as well, so I'll just put a drop on there just to help that go in. And then we've got a tang on there that's going to line up with this slot in there, so this is just going to push in, push it past the snap ring, and then it will literally just clip in like Lego. There you go. So that's in like that. And then the next part of the puzzle is going to go into the back of this one. So again, we'll pull that plug out. Oops. And we'll pull that plug off of there. Drop a brake fluid on here, just to make sure don't damage anything. Just push that in. There we go, that's clipped in. And now that's the adapter now for the clutch pipe to go into. So there we go, that's that. It's that simple. A 10-year-old could do that. Right, let's move on. Just one thing, guys, while you're here, don't forget. Oh, I forgot as well, I've got my scruffy shorts and white legs alert. What you mustn't forget is to put some grease on these splines. You don't need to lather it on, but you just need some on there so that the clutch has something to slide on, and also prevents any corrosion or anything building up. You don't want loads on there because it will spin off, but you do want to make sure you get some on there all the way around, because like I've said before, like a gear, if you put a drop there it won't work its way around, it will just, so there we go. Okay, so that'll do absolutely fine. Obviously we don't need any on there because we've got the spigot bearing and the crank, and that's greased. So here we are, just put a drop on there. Right. Okay, so you can see here we've got the engine. We've got the engine lift here, and this is actually a Clark tool that I use. Basically this, you can turn this handle and then that moves this along, so you can change the inclination of the engine. Now the one thing you will notice here, and a lot of people don't do this, you can see that the actual thing is sideways and I want it lengthways. So you can put an interim shackle in there, which I don't have. So what I do is this. I take the chain, and I remove the bolt and the washer, take the chain out and then turn it, put it up in. Sorry, no, you don't put it up in. You turn it like this, put it like that, and then that bolt will go through. And now you've got your hook facing the right direction, so that when you put your lifting gear on, it sits the right way around. So that's how, and you haven't weakened anything, you're just using the next link up rather than that link there. So little tip for you there if you didn't know it. And there we are, guys, engine hanging on there, sat on a cloth on the table just to sort of take some out of there while we fit the clutch. Chassis all lined up, all ready to go, so we'll get the engine mounts on the chassis, get the exhaust in, get the clutch on and all sorts of bits and pieces, and then we'll go from there. So I'll see you in a minute. Right then, so we've got the clutch here, we've got our tools to fit it, so all we need is a 10mm socket. It doesn't need to be a deep, I've just used a deep one. Got a torque wrench here and I've set it to 29 Newton meters, which is how tight these bolts are going to be. So we've got the LOF clutches kit here, I've got the power one, which I did a review on a few weeks ago if you want to go and see it. So we can open up the box, and in here we've got our clutch alignment tool, which is a necessity. And then we've got the actual cover plate there, which is very nice. I should take that away in a minute, clean it off with some brake cleaner. And then here, just put that down there. And then here we have the actual friction plate itself, which is the item that defenders seem to destroy. So hopefully this one will be much better. Luke at LOF Clutches assures me that this is the bee's knees. So there we go. So we'll get these bolts out of here, and then I'll get this cleaned up with brake cleaner, and then we'll fit it all up. Right, so we're all cleaned off now, ready to go. Remember I said about putting grease on the splines? No need. Already grease in the boards. I don't know why you can see this because the sun is over there, so it's not exactly ideal for filming, so I'm sorry about that. So I'm going to put the alignment tool in and then get the clutch aligned there. In fact, you can't be too far anyway because of this cup-shaped flywheel. And there's a lot of play in there, so you could have some error in there anyway. I'm wondering if mine will be better. Let me go and get my tool that I've made. Okay, so my tool is slightly better, it locates it slightly better, but what we'll do before we nip it up, we'll sort of make sure it's sort of biased towards the centre, because you can see we've got some movement there. That might be better because the sun's just gone in. So I've got this plate now all cleaned off. So we've got the dowels in the flywheel here, here and here. And we've got the bolt holes, so we've got to line the dowels up with the dowel holes on here. So get this over like that. That's going to go on there. So there we go, that's that in. Now actually Luke's tool is going to be better because I can't reach inside there to grab mine, so I have to put this down again. And we will use the LOF supplied tool in the end because mine's too short, which is the story of my life really. Anyway, that's another subject. We'll get this on and then we can get a couple of the bolts started. If I can get that to go over that dowel, there we go. So obviously all that lovely green paint matches the bodywork on my Land Rover. Just get these started. Okay, so now you can see we can got up maximum there, down maximum there. So if I put it about there and it's somewhere handy. So now we're just going to do these bolts up sort of finger tight with the socket. And then we can get the ratchet on there, wherever the ratchet is gone. Here it is. And what I'm going to do is pull these down evenly, diagonally, bit by bit. And that way you're not going to stress any of the springs in the clutch or anything. You're not pushing anything over one way. Just pulling it all down nice and square. pull now. Right. One. There we go. That's just about down now. Okay, they're down now. There we go, they're all down. Okay, so now we can torque them up. I may need to lock the flywheel for this, we shall see. That. We should be lucky. 3, 4. I've done that one, haven't I? 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then we're just going to check, put the tool in, goes in nice and easy, so that means the actual input shaft on the gearbox should slide in nice and easy. And that, guys, is it. That is how simple it is. If you've never done it before, that is how simple it is to fit a clutch. Once the engine is out, or the gearbox is out, it's generally, every car is the same, generally 6 bolts, 3 dowels, that's it. So there you are. That is my LOF Power TDCI Puma clutch kit fitted. Okay, so now we need to get these 2 pipes, this one and this one, fitted into the chassis to make the engine, make this fitting this downpipe a lot easier while the engine's out, because it's when it actually goes in, as I said in the review, when you look here at the gearbox, you look at here, you've got the cross member down here going across, you've got the gearbox in the way, and the pipe has to come down. Where are we? The pipe has to come down. I can't see because the sun's reflecting the bloody lens. The pipe has to come down behind this engine mount, down, across and back, so it's much easier to put it in now, because once the engine's in there, it's very difficult to get it all around. If you've got a ramp, you're fine. If you take the cross member out, you're fine, but it's just easier to do it now. So I'm going to wriggle that in now, and the reason I'm putting the centre pipe in as well is because if you notice on the downpipe, there are no hanger mounts. It just hangs on the front, and then there's 2 hanger mounts on the centre section. So I'll fit the centre section into the rubbers, and then I can loosely bolt this in and have it hanging on rather than just hanging around. So I'll get that in now, maybe video it, and I'll see you in a sec. Okay, so the downpipe, the centre pipe is literally going to go in from underneath this cross member here. You've got to have the 2 bolt flange facing forward. So I don't want to drop it on the ground. And I have put WD-40 in these these rubbers, so it should slide in really easily. There we go, that's gone in. And then this one's going to come across here. I don't think you can see what I'm doing, guys, but I'm just basically pushing this into its rubber. There we go, and it's in. So that's that centre pipe hung in place. Job done. So now I can get the other pipe in. So if we move the camera, okay, there we go, you can see, there's the cat. Goes down the downpipe. You can see I've got blankets here to stop anything getting scratched, over the cross member, underneath the gearbox, transfer box, and then over here where it gets bolted onto this flange. So you can see doing it with the engine in and everything all assembled is quite awkward. That's why I've done this now, and that's why I got the exhaust so early in the project. So I could just sit there now. Nothing's bolted up, nothing's tight. It's just sit there and flop around, and then it's going to be a bit of a trick when you get the engine in, because it's at least we don't have the studs to worry about. When you've got the standard one, it's got studs. This doesn't, so this is probably a better solution. I'll have to make sure I don't start scratching the engine and everything. I'll probably tie this up out of the way, but we'll see how we go. Right, let's get this engine mounts on then, and then we can start looking at getting the engine in. Okay, so engine mounts there, ready to go on there. You can see they've all been painted up lovely, all shiny. I've put some wax oil on the bottoms of here just to make sure that it's, I don't know if you can see that from that shot, but put some wax on just to make sure they don't get corrosion in between the two like it did before. So there we go. Make sure the heat shield's on the right way, facing forward. These bolts, I've got some copper slip on them, and I've put a drop of oil on the back of the heads just to help them seat without just ripping up the paint. And what what I'm going to do now is pull these down. There's 18 Newton meters they're going to be done up to. And you can see they're very long. Going down now. Okay, so get that one down and then do the same on the back. It would have been better to do this before the exhaust, but never mind. Okay, so I'm just going to leave those like that for now. In fact, I'm going to have to torque them now because I won't be able to get a torque wrench on there once the engine's in. I don't think. Yes, I will. So I'll leave those loose so they can find their own way where the engine's going to sit. I'll get the other one in, then I'll come back. Okay, so I've got the camera set up like this now. I'm just going to leave it set like this and get the engine in. Now you're going to see I'm going to edit it and take bits out, so I won't do any talking while I'm doing it. Where you're going to see me now is I'll basically approach from this side over here. Here we go. I'll come over here with the engine and it'll be lifted up. And then what I'm going to do is use that apparatus I've got to tilt the engine, because as you can see now, the gearbox is lifted up, so the engine's got to go like that to go on. So clear the mounts, otherwise the mounts will be in the way. You can see down the bottom here, just above the white plastic box with the bolts, you can see that there's a block of wood in there. It's lifting the gearbox up too high. It may need to come up some more yet, we shall see. So I'm not going to do any talking while I'm doing it. I'm just going to film it, edit it, and then at the end of it I'll come back and say goodbye. Actually, I'm going to move the camera because I just remembered I decided not to roll the engine into the Land Rover. I'm going to roll the Land Rover under the engine. So I'll move the camera. There we go. There we go. Block of wood. Oh, and if you remember, I did loosen the starter motor so it's out of the way. Okay, we have a problem here, guys, in that the engine, I just shaped it right, the engine is like this and the gearbox is like this. So I need to twist them. So what I'm going to do is undo one gearbox mount and lift the gearbox up to twist it clockwise, or anti-clockwise, looking at it from the back. Because the dowels aren't lining up even though the spline is engaged, so I'm going to get that done now. Alright guys, there we go. I managed to get it all together. I jacked up the side of the gearbox and then it all just popped together. Well, I didn't leave it filming because it was a very, very slow process of manipulation, but as I said, I did remember to leave the starter loose, so that's nice and loose. We have got a couple of bolts. I put one bolt in there which I dropped on the floor, which I'm going to do now. And get to the bolt. It could be in a more awkward place. So we've got to torque these up to 40 Newton meters, but I think I might get it on its mounts first rather than risk any more strain on those rubbers. On the gearbox mounts, because they're being pulled about left, right and centre at the moment. And some of you are probably wondering, why didn't I put it all together first and then put it in as one unit? Purely because I was worried about the weight. My engine crane is only rated up to 500 kilos, leaving it short its reach, and I wasn't really confident that this engine and gearbox is lighter than that, because that engine is the heaviest engine I've ever known. It's difficult to roll it around on the stand or on the crane, so very heavy. So now we've got to lower it down slowly and try and get that to line up with that. So wish me luck. I've got to make sure this downpipe doesn't get fouled or anything, which it has, so there we go, I can set it up there like that now. I'll bring the camera around to show you what I'm talking about so you guys know if you come across this yourselves. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. The engine mount is here, it just wants to sit under there like that, so you've got to make sure it stays up on the top and you're not jacking the exhaust down on it. And you can also imagine if the bulkhead's here on the built vehicle, it's all very, very tight. That's why I said in the review the 2.2 is much better, because they've got a swan neck and it goes on with a clamp here. So it's a case of offering it up and then clamping it rather than having this bloody great flange in the way. So let's see if we can get this down now. There we go. Wow, that would have been a lot easier if I wasn't so fussy about scratching paint and stuff. So anyway, that's it, it's in. So I've got to get these nuts on, get those torqued down, get all the valves and bolts torqued up, and then we're done. And there we go guys, this is in, and all bolted up, everything's all torqued down now. All bolts torqued up. So let's have a look at this exhaust and see what we need the hardware wise to get fitted onto the manifold. So quick walk round. The exhaust is mounted up now. As far as hardware goes, I would suggest using flange nuts and bolts, stainless steel, then you won't get the problems with corrosion, seizing up, and get those flange nuts with the dogs in the back of them so they lock. That way they won't come loose when they're hot and cold. These bolts I've got in here are actually 45mm long, so you can see they're a touch too long, so maybe go 40, but I would probably go 45 on these two at the back because you've got this extra bracket, and then go 40 on these two at the front because the bolt at the end of the bolt is very, very close to the cat. So yeah, M10 45 on the back, M10 40 on the front. Use bolts rather than screws so the threads don't fret into here, and obviously you need a new gasket as well. As I said in my review, that doesn't come with the downpipe, but downpipe's all fitted in lovely. It's not touching anything. We've got the clamp over here. You can see there's the clamp down there. Sat on the rubber. Really, really nice job. There's a bracket here which bolts onto the engine on these two lugs, one there and one there. It kind of goes in like that on the original cat, and what it does is supports it, and there's a load of shielding and all that around it as well. So I'll probably put the heat shield over the top, but I probably won't bother with the shielding around the back. So that's where we go for there. And that's basically it. Everything, as I say, is all done up. We can now get the rest of the wiring routed and stuff, and then start looking at connecting up power steering lines and brake lines and fuel hoses and stuff. I'd like to try and start this without all the front end on. We'll see what happens. I guess when we get the bulkhead on we can look at that. But here we go. You may have also seen this lifting bracket I made. It's just a piece of inch by inch angle, and drilled two holes in it, 8mm, well 9mm for clearance, and they're 50mm apart, and then a M10 hole up here tapped with an M10 bolt in it, and then you just hook your hook on your lifting eye around that, and that's been plenty strong enough for this. So there we go. You can see it all done, all the mounts in, all the bolts around here. There's our clutch pipe sticking out that we did earlier. You need to be really careful with these now because you've got all these plastic bits like here and here and here, all plastic sticking out everywhere, and it could just easily get shattered if you slip with a spanner or a ratchet or something. So it does look lovely from the front. There we go, and there's Mr. Mustang in the background. But yeah, really, really pleased with it. Really pleased with how it's come out. Very, very pretty and shiny, and lovely. So there we go. Thanks for watching, guys. That'll be it for this video. I think it's been quite a long one, hasn't it? So I'll see you all soon in another video. I don't know what it'll be. I'll probably get all the pipes and stuff, and I don't think I'll video that. You don't want to see me clipping pipes into clips, do you? That's pretty pointless. But if there's anything special to know, I'll cover that. So I'll see you all soon. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.